Hi there and welcome to our Facebook Live. Well, it's a bit of a miserable day out there. The rain is coming down, but it's fresh. We're all still here. We may be in lockdown at the moment, and this is the time where we try to find something to lift our spirits and make us feel great. Because, I don't know, have you ever seen that film Groundhog Day? We woke up this morning, we're doing homeschooling for the kids, there's so much other things are going on, you're reading the news, everything is happening all over the world. But one thing's for sure, by the time we get well into spring, there'll be a lot of this hardship behind us, and there is so much for us to enjoy. But there's so much for us to enjoy right now. Little things and activities that we can do that connect us with nature, that bring us happiness, purpose, energy, fascination, things that really make a difference. And I'm here during this Facebook Live, and I'm particularly talking about indoor gardening with houseplants and the like, and how you can start a hobby with houseplants or expand a hobby you already have to start enjoying these beautiful little plants indoors. I'm also taking your questions too, so please send me a message saying hi and telling me where you're from and why you like houseplants, don't like houseplants, got any questions on houseplants, just send them through. If you just want to say hello, please send those through and I'll read them out as we go. I've got loads of messages coming through already. Steve Rutter says, hi David, I hope you're well. I am, thank you very much Steve, and I'm glad you're tuning in again. Who else have we got here? We've got Clement Robert on Twitter says, do ferns like cold tea? It's a funny thing you should say that. There are many old gardeners' tales of feeding plants with unusual objects like nails and Brillo pads and bananas and tea as well. Cold tea works particularly well. It's fairly acidic and it's got some tannins, so it's really good to dilute in water. Make sure it's cold, not boiling hot, and things like azaleas do particularly well. So yes, you can use a little bit. It's always best to use the proper fertilisers, the Miracle Grow houseplant foods and orchid foods, but if you haven't got any food handy, cold tea does work. There's loads of these. Anybody else got more information on hints and tips on how to take care of houseplants? I'll share your tips with everybody as well. Tina Vaughan, hello Tina, how are you? Thank you very much for sending your message. Glad you're joining us. And Claire Woods, hello again. I need some inspiration. That's great. We've got loads of stuff. George, you haven't put any of the insectivorous plants up. George is looking at the back. I was doing some fantastic stuff with meat-eating plants, and they are a real treat, both for inside and, believe it or not, for outside as well. They're just down there, but I can't walk in front to get them, but I'll give you some chat as we go. And don't forget, of course, my new book, which is out, entitled My Houseplant Changed My Life, and it does. There's something about engaging with houseplants and getting started that'll make you have a hobby for years and years, and it's the type of hobby you'll pass on to your kids as well. And with a lot of plants, taking cuttings and sharing the houseplants you've got, knowing that the very same houseplant on your windowsill is that in your parents or your children or friends work really well. This book focuses in on the mental health benefits of plants and what plants can do for you, other than just looking good on the windowsill and being fun. So it's got loads of facts and information on how to choose houseplants, make houseplants grow, how they improves your mental ability. There we are, houseplant for mental well-being. Good few pages for that. Going on to here, highlighting how there's even aromatherapy with some of the fragrance and growing your own, engaging children with houseplants, how colours change your moods from serenity. In here as well, there are also chapters on how to calm you down with houseplants. Look, here we are, plants to calm and relax, how to make you happy, how to invigorate you. There's a whole host. Now, it's available in hardback from Amazon as a pre-order now. I believe they've still got it on a discount. They've still got that discount, George? Should be $9.99. They're selling them for $8.19 if you do a pre-order now. It's available in the shops and they'll be mailing them out from the 4th of February. So My Houseplant Changed My Life. It's a book it's published by DK, so you know it's a hugely high quality book, and it's a hardback for £8. It's too cheap. That's too cheap. You want to get it. And in there as well, there's my top 50 houseplants, how to take care of them, and also what the plant does. Does it produce more oxygen for your room? Some plants remove negative toxins from the air to stop you having headaches. Others about how to take cuttings. So there's loads of stuff in there. For £8, it's a great book to help you choose plants and make the most out of them. More messages coming through here as well. Robert Ward, best advice for a Venus flytrap. and a little smiley face as well. Well, Robert, the thing with Venus flytraps, they don't like it too hot. I know they're often sold in houseplant departments in the garden centres, but some southern locations, some people keep them in an unheated greenhouse, letting it get very cold. Like Sarracenas, which is another meat-eating plant, they do need to have a winter. They need a place where they can literally just keep cool and die down, or at least just tick over during the winter time. It's always best to feed Venus flytraps with rainwater as well. They don't like the chlorides and the fluorides in our tap water. And the big secret is, don't put your fingers in them. Don't close the traps with nothing in. If you're dangling a fly in there, that's a different matter. Oh, and here's another thing. Venus flytraps can actually tell the time. Did you know that? They have a concept of time. When the Venus flytrap is open like that, it's got hairs on the inside. A fly jumps in, touches a hair, it's set. If it touches another hair within 20 seconds, it closes. If it doesn't, it stays open. And that's the way that the Venus flytrap knows it's a pucker insect in there rather than a leaf blowing through or something similar to that. Fascinating. There we go. What else have we got here? Claire Woods again. Hello. Needing some information. I've already given you a shout out. David Hansey. Hi, David. Hope you're well. I am. Thank you very much, mate. And Joan Muldrew. David, I'm here from Northern Ireland. Hello there. We love houseplants. Can you recommend some great ones for beginners? I'll do that in a moment. I'm just going to... Leanne Peretz. Leanne, hello to you as well. So let me just give you a few really good houseplants to have a chat about. I mean, this is probably one of the easiest ones to get started. It's commonly known as the Jade Plant. Some people call it the money tree. It is a plant that is fabled to be given to show a sign of friendship. So if you buy one of these or give it a gift to somebody, a member of the family, somebody who's unwell, somebody who's just had a birthday, it signifies friendship. And while they have the plant, the friendship continues to grow, according to myth and legend. There's another fable that goes with this. Those who have this particular plant, this crassula here, has good fortune with finances. That's if a lot of you that go into takeaways, maybe Indian restaurants, maybe Chinese, you see a lot of these, and reception rooms and dentists and whatever, growing in there. It's not just because it's an easy plant to grow. Apparently it brings you good fortune. You can just take a leaf off one of these, put it into water, and you can watch it root. Pop that up. Give it to a friend. And that's so easy. It's in the book as well, the crassula. So I've got loads of information. I love crassulas. The one I think, the picture I've got in the book of the crassula is the variegated one, which is this one here. It's got lovely tints to the top of the leaves. Oh, there's Venus flytrap in there for you, Robert. So you've got all the information on Venus flytraps. And with crassulas as well, there's 50 plants in here. I'm not going to find it. It's packed out with loads of different... Oh, they're all my favourites. Look at these living stones. How unusual. We always used to think they look like little bottoms or little brains. Lithops. You know, there's loads of really interesting types of plants. Oh, I love this one here. This is the Maranta. It's one of the first houseplants I ever bought. Maranta tricolour with these lovely markings on the leaf. It's called the prayer plant because at night it's got a little hinge and its leaves fold up as if it's having a prayer. And then in the morning it opens again. You can even hear it rustling. There's loads of really good ones. Oh, I bent the corner on this one. It's the only one. This is the only copy that I've got. So, oh, the sensitive plant. This plant moves. If you touch the leaves, it all wilts and pretends it's dead. And then when no one's looking, it comes back to life again. It's fascinating. Houseplants are full of things that really cheer you up. Oh, I had to put a cactus in it. A load of people talk to me. I love the blue torch cactus. Look at the colour of that. It's a marvellous cactus, so easy to grow. I was looking for a picture of a crassula here. I'm getting sidetracked with all the other things. I'll find it in a minute. Oh, I love that. The pink quill. You'll have that flower for months and months. In fact, a bract, it holds itself up. The little flowers come on the side. There's loads of them. So I'd say a cheese plant, but many other hardy varieties, things like the mother-in-law's tongue here, you can have that for years and years. You want to take cuttings from it, pull off a leaf, chop it up, make sure you put it the right way up, into a glass of water and the roots will come and then it grows. Unfortunately, when it grows, it doesn't have the gold variegation. It's just green, but there you go. Like loads of messages coming through now. Sorry, I keep diverting. Houseplants are so much fun. And the good thing about it is, of course, Garden centres are open at the moment, so you can go in and treat yourself. I just buy 1 or 2, get them climatised in the home, and just add to your collection. They do so much for you. Where are it? Venus Flytrap, Northern Ireland, Joan. Sorry, I hope that was helpful to you, Joan. Steve Rutter, okay. Did a load of Tradescantia cuttings the other day. That's lovely. It's a long trailing plant. That's in here as well. I started them off in toilet rolls. Why not? With a view of planting them outside in hanging baskets. Well, you can do. Toilet rolls are fantastic, particularly for growing carrots, funny enough. You get your toilet roll, make 3 cuts, about a third of the way up, make 3 cuts at the bottom, and then fold the bottom in, and you've suddenly got a little pot. Just as Steve was saying there, a bit of compost in, put your cuttings in there. And what happens is, of course, if you leave them sitting in water, the cardboard of the toilet roll starts to break down. So you can plant the whole thing without having to separate it with the roots, because the toilet paper, toilet roll will break down as you put it into the soil. It works really well. Nice one, Steve. Great tip there. Thank you very much, Tina Vaughan. What have we got there? Just updated to say I fed my amaryllis and it's looking much better. Hopefully it grows. Well, you've got to feed any bulbs that you've got that's growing inside, hyacinths or daffodils, feed them as they grow. A lot of the energy is already in the bulb to make the plant grow, but you're putting energy back in for next year as well. So that works well. So the bulb just swells. Leanne Pettit, I was just wondering, my bathroom has no windows, so no natural light. Are there plants that would be able to survive in there? It's very difficult. All plants need light, of course, to grow. You usually find the darker the leaf, the stronger the plant's ability, like the yuccas or the monsteras or aspidistras, to tolerate a low light situation for a longer time. It's better if you leave the door open to the bathroom so you're getting natural light in from other parts of the house. But the darker the leaf, usually the better for shadier positions. Claire Woods, top tips please for caring for a 27-year-old mother-in-law's tongue. People say houseplants don't last, but you're an absolute testament to that, Claire. They do. I mean, how much was this? £8. £8, and you got it for 25 years or more. It stops becoming a pot plant, starts becoming a member of the family. And this does really well in taking toxins out of rooms. You know, the built up toxins from, wood burners, gas stoves, antiperspirant, cleaning products, cosmetics, paints, all sorts. These plants actually help cleanse a room, and the more plants you have and the healthier the plants, the more toxins they remove. And all of those informations are in my new book, The Mother-in-Law's Tongue as well. My houseplant changed my life. You can pre-order it from Amazon, £8.19 in a hardback as well. It's too cheap. It's a lovely book. 50 plants in there, how to care for them, and also how to use houseplants to improve your mental and physical well-being. Very, very important, certainly during this lockdown. It's great to start a new hobby, and if we're inside, why don't we bring nature inside too, especially with it being a bit cold outside at the moment. Loads of these questions here. And well done, Claire. 27 years. That'll be another 27 years on top of it. Don't forget you can take cuttings from them. Just cut the leaf off, slice it into sections, and put those sections into water about that sort of height, and they will root. What else? David Harrisney says, question about garden holly. I've several in my garden. Why is it that the berrying ones just are only just ripening, and some of the hedging flowers they flower twice a year? Well, there's a lot of different varieties of holly producing, so you usually get a difference in, shall we say, when fruits are produced. It's a combination of things. One, it's the variety, some may be later, some may be the earlier, and the other, of course, is the climate as well. And we have had a very warm. Last year was very warm, and we haven't had too hard up frosts at the minute, so sometimes that does affect. But hollies are lovely, many different varieties. I'd bring a few more hollies in if you can. There are variegated varieties, things like Silver Queen with a lovely edging margin that's white around the outside, or Golden King, which is another one with golden variegated, and plant them in with them. It might help pollinate as well, so that might help you. Let me just have a look here. Mila, am I pronouncing that right, Mila? Miron, I have a Jade Plant and I love it. Hello from Northern Ireland. You've got to win. The little Jade Plants. They're so cute. We have lots of people viewing at the moment. Just a notification from our teams who are streaming it. Mary Donovan. Hello, Mary. What's the best plants for bathrooms? Well, bathrooms are really good if they've got windows because you get the light coming in, but you get the humidity from the shower and the bath as well. Ferns love it. They really do. So you've got the bird's nest fern, which is long, almost tongue-like foliage. Then you've got the feathery foliage. I did have a couple here. Have we got them around the outside? No, this room is full of house plants. They have to take it in turns to see which is in front of the camera. There is the Boston fern that's really nice, and the maidenhair fern, lovely maidenhair fern with very soft foliage at the top. And of course, you've also got the asparagus fern. There's so many to choose from. And of course, orchids really do like the bathroom. Try an orchid. They're not as difficult as you think. Once you've got an orchid, you have it for a long period of time, and it does repeat flowering as well. So try orchids on there as well. Do you have it's on? Vote in the poll. Do you have a favourite houseplant? The tech guys are telling me we've got a voting thing at the minute. Have you voted, George? No, George hasn't voted at the minute. He's just over there. But you can. Oh, lovely cup of tea. I can't do that on This Morning. Can't do that on Love Your Weekend or on the James Martin Show. Drinking whilst filming is not allowed. But when I'm here on my own talking with you, well, not on my own, I'm with you, having a chat for half an hour, cheeky swig of tea. Oh, lovely. Lovely. Right, what have we got here? Shish Howdle, you say my spider plant in the kitchen is just starting to turn yellow. Any ideas? Ooh, they're so easy to keep, spider plants. Some people call them hen and chicken plants because you get a strand off the end. Here's one growing where loads of little babies will come. That's the chickens. Usually with spider plants, the key thing is yellowing is caused by a variety of different things. Obviously, check the watering. That's the first thing. Never let plants sit in water. Often, they're killed by chynus. Sometimes chlorophytum, which is what a spider plant is, has some yellowing due to the fact of drying out a little bit. It inhibits the plant in making up chlorophyll, which is the green aspects of the leaves, of course. So I would just check that they're watered little and often, and there's plenty of moisture there. Move it to a brighter position and you'll find that it colour up then. But it's best not to feed plants at this time of year because they're more or less in dormant. But in a few weeks you can give them a bit of a boost. But I would just move it to a brighter position and check the watering. They're so easy. It'll come back. Don't worry about that. Right, what have we got there? Gemma Wilson, can you recommend any good hanging house plants? Yeah, there's so many you can get. Ferns are really good in hanging baskets. They work well. Let me see if I can show you some pictures of what I've got in the book. Just to remind those who've just come, this is my latest book. It's the Houseplants and Benefits to Mental Health and How to Grow Them. So, there's a fern. This is a maidenhair fern. You blow the foliage and it just moves like fluttering butterflies. I just love that plant. It's got these wiry black stems that they go. Let's just find a couple more varieties that'll give you a good trailing effect. This is a little one here. This is Serapega. It's called String of Hearts. And all the foliage look like little tiny hearts. And that'll grow from the ceiling right to the floor. So just take a look for String of Hearts, Serapega. You can look that up online or pick up a copy of the book and it's got it in there. Of course, you can put the spider plant into a hanging basket like this one here. That works particularly well. Let's say, this is a really lovely one. String of Pearls. It's got little globules of foliage, like little circles. It looks like a stilled fountain with all these water globules coming down, but they're not water globules. They're in fact little leaves, and they look marvellous. Great in a hanging basket. And it changes a corner from something that's inanimate into something that becomes a feature. So many different varieties that you can do to use as trailing. Here's another one, the Maranta I mentioned earlier. That trails down, beautiful looking foliage to give a hanging back. I could talk about hanging all the time. What else? Oh, this is a favourite. You've got the Philodendron, but there's the skinned apsis as well, which is another trailing one. There's lots of different trailing ones. Take a look on Amazon, £8 and 19p. You can pre-order my book that's got all of those bits of information in here. I've got questions coming out. There's so many coming through. I love a cup of tea, Catherine. I'm glad you do. Have a cheeky one. I was up there having a swig earlier. I had a Toblerone in the car. It's not in the car anymore. It's in my tummy. Carl Noblet, David, I have an Areca palm. Any tips? Stop the leaves getting brown at the tips. Sometimes it's the air that causes an element of difficulty. You want to water little and often. They all do tip. We've got one over there. It's not doing too bad at the moment. It's best to sit it in a saucer with gravel in. So it sits on the gravel, not in the saucer. And then you can put water in the saucer, so the water's in and around the gravel, but the plant's not sitting in the water, if that makes sense. So as the temperature rises in the room, the water evaporates and creates a nice little humid climate for your palms. Give that a go. Pam Clark, I'm watching from Malvern. I love Malvern. My dad is overlooking the Malvern Hills. He lives in Worcester. We love it, that part of the world. Love your info, and I've ordered your book. Thank you very much. Thank you for that. I think anything that inspires us to engage with nature, there's a great section in there about engaging children with plants as well, but you know, we're all kids at heart, so there's lots of stuff in there for all of us. Well done. What else have we got here? I've missed a few as well. I've got to, can you reckon hanging houseplants? I've done that with Areca palms, a cup of tea. Now, we had a little bit of feedback from the survey for all of you that are watching. 96% of you do already have houseplants in the home. 4% don't have any. Get to the garden centre. Treat yourself to one or two. A little tiny fig like this, little money plant, a mother-in-law's tongue, anthuriums. I love anthuriums. They don't like the cold too much, but they don't like the heat as well. This is a Brax, a modified leaf. This with the centre space in the middle where the flowers come. That you bring them in at every time a new flower comes up, or whatever, it just cheers you up. I can't tell you. Having houseplants make a big difference rather than looking at a brick wall that we've got in the studio here, Studio One. You can soften them with houseplants as well. What have we got here then? Steve Rutter, African violets are always one of my favourites, and I have a shelf full of them. Do you know my gran collected African violets? It's so easy to do, because when you've got the knack right with African violets, you get these lovely oval leaves with hairs all on the top, and the flowers just float above it, so bright in colours. You know, the deep violets, the blues, the purples, the pinks, the whites, the multicoloured ones. It's a collector's plant. Buy one, get it thriving, and all of your windowsills. My gran's windowsills were full, bless her. I love them. What a lovely plant. I'm glad you mentioned that. Not many people mentioned. We've got African violet in the book as well. I had to choose 50 plants. It was really difficult because I thought, oh, 50, that sounds a lot. And then when I started listing down my favourites, I got to 75. Getting it from 75 to 60 was hard. 60 to 55, and the last 5, I'm still agonising over it now. I missed a few out. Jackie Pugh, I love our little live chats. They are live chats, aren't they? They're only us, sitting down, listening out, talking about plants. It's the magical part, something that just lifts us up a little bit. And what have we got here? Monica Oliver, my aloe vera is looking a bit sad. Is it? They're usually really tough. Thing with them is sometimes if they get overwatered, they have to sag a little bit, and if they get underwater, they do the same thing. But if you squeeze the stems of the underwater, they're it's quite squishy. Whereas overwatered, you can see that the plant is heavy. So check on the watering for that. I think the secret is any plants start to look a little tired, move them into where there's a little bit more light, so the plant can photosynthesize easier and break down and produce food for itself, and also to give a little bit of feed. But for an aloe vera, they're pretty tough. They're out in the deserts for anything. More than likely, it's overwatering than under. Just check the pot and make sure it's not sitting in moisture in its container. But it's a lovely plant, that. Oh, that does so much for your health. So many things. So that's another plant in the book. You've got all of these ones as well. Now I've got what have we got there? Catherine Beeston. Catherine, what have you got there? Lots of moss. We're going outside. Lots of moss all over. My garden is full of it. Well, moss is usually connected with drainage. If your lawn gets slightly soggy, certainly at this time of year, with the amount of rain that we've had just outside there, it's a prime condition for the moss to grow, and it gets hold within the lawn. Personally speaking, I don't mind moss so much in the summer. It's so soft underfoot. Some people like to clear it all out because eventually big patches of moss strangle the grass and you end up with just moss than grass. And if you rake the moss out, you end up with patches. So obviously there are some products that you can get. Miracle Grow are great for that because they've got lots of different lawn fertilizers and things that you can use to eradicate moss. But you always have to mix up a little bit of the evergreen grass seed with some peat-free compost and use that around to generate growth where you've taken the moss out. But the secret, of course, is to improve the drainage. You either need to find the lowest part of the garden, dig a big plug, you know, the deeper hole as you can get. You want to try to get below the water table, and then you can fill it up with twigs and gravel and whatever, and it becomes a plug for the water to go down. Or there are specialists that focus on taking moisture and giving better drainage to people's gardens as well. Hopefully that's a long topic that on its own. What have we got there? Emma Neat. Hello, Emma. My snake plant keeps showing signs of rotting. The shop have replaced it twice. Could it be the temperature? I'd say with most things, anything to do with rotting is excess moisture. Excess moisture within the pot or the container. Let it dry out. A lot of houseplants are in fact killed by kindness. In many cases, you'd be better to see the plant wilt and water it than overwater it. So little and often. And a great tip is to, what I normally do is the plant's upstairs, I put the plug into the bath, and then I get all my house plants and just sit them in the bath. Then turn the water of the tap on to about 2-3 inches, so everything's sitting in water. Leave it for an hour. Then I come up and unplug it. Everything drains out. I take the house plants out of there, put them back on the shelves, and then just shower the bath off, and they've all been properly watered. Some plants, like orchids and ferns, they'll do pretty well. Sit them in the shower, not too hot, just tepid water. And you can just turn the water on to give them a little bit of a shower. Not all plants like water from the tap. Anything more sensitive, you'd be better to use rainwater because obviously they don't have chlorides or fluorides in there. More questions coming in there. Tina Vaughan. Tina, what have you got here, Tina? I have grown and kept cacti for 25 years. There seems to be something about it, a quarter century. And separated babies. Is it true you can slide the top off and regrow? I mean, the best thing to do with a lot of cacti is I don't like messing about too much with them. Once they're growing and they're doing particular way, leave them on that. They can repair themselves, so if tops have been knocked off or damaged, you can see it. In fact, if you go to Spain or any of the hot areas, Tunisia and the like, you see these. Especially, I had to go. I don't play golf, but I went to a golf course to have a look because it was all planted up desert sands and it had all cacti. And I was having a look at it. All these poor cacti with golf balls halfway stuck into them, but they will recover on that basis. So the best thing to do is just to keep them going as you're going. Certainly 25 years with some of these plants, you don't want to damage them at all there, Tina. Karen Galpin, I have an internal bathroom. I can use LED lightings or grow lamps to houseplants to cheer them up. Do they need some natural light as well? They do need natural light, of course, but you can buy, certainly if you're putting specialist lighting in there, which it sounds like you do, you can buy daylight bulbs to help you grow in areas where there isn't natural light. So take a look online and find those. Sonia, what have we got here? Sonia Hawksford, are there any natural treatments to get rid of moss on my garden path? If you don't want to use any chemicals or anything similar to that, moss will grow. It depends what your path is really. If it's a gravel path, you need to get the water out. That's the secret. If you put a liner down that's not permeable, so water lands on it and it doesn't soak through, it becomes a damp path. And if you've got damp path, there is moss. So my natural, not using chemical, would be to ensure better drainage, and it will clean up well itself. So it depends what the surface of the path is, but better drainage guarantees less moss. Sometimes if you've got areas that don't get natural sunlight, paths and the light, and a lot of moisture, you get algae and things growing over the top, and it becomes a slip hazard. So keeping those clear, washing them down, jet washing with detergent or something similar to that, that can help as well. What have we got there? What have we got here that we got at Angela Harvey? I'm struggling to keep orchids alive. No idea what I'm doing wrong. Well, that does surprise me then, Angela. What I'd do is move them into the bathroom or the kitchen, brightly lit but not in full sunlight. And what I would do is you can buy specific orchid food. Miracle Grow do one. They've got a pump thing, which is great because you don't have to mix it. You just do a squish into the pot and then water it, and that will give it a heart. Wipe the leaves as well. Use just that you can get these special leaf wipes, or you can just use water with a damp bit of towel. Make sure the leaves are clean on the top and the bottom, and they're regularly watered, and you should do very well with orchids. They're a lot easier. I've got all the tips on how to grow orchids, both the dendrobium orchids and the phalaenopsis, the moth ones you see with several flowers all the way down. I'm running out of time here. George is looking at me. I'm over time already, and there's so more questions here. I haven't had a chance to come through a lot of mine here. I've got to say a couple of things. Where are we? In fact, Love the Garden, which is part of Evergreen and the Miracle Grow brands, I've got loads of good stuff, and they're running a competition on the Facebook page and on the Instagram account where you can win one of my books signed. So they'll be signed as well. So if you search Love the Garden on either of those two platforms and enter the competition, they've also got a load of goodies that they're doing with it as well, so that's worth a look. So for those of you who are interested in keeping houseplants or wondering how houseplants can improve your mental and physical well-being, it's all encapsulated in a book. My Houseplant Changed My Life. It's published by DK, so you know they're really good books. It's hardback. It's available for pre-order at Amazon. Instead of $9.99, they're selling them at $8.19 for the pre-order, and of course it ends up in all the shops in February. So if you're interested in houseplants and the positivity that houseplants can bring to your mental and physical well-being, or you want to buy something for a friend or a gift, or for parents or anybody else who has started a hobby of gardening, certainly indoors during lockdown. Well, it's been great chatting to you. Take a bit of time this afternoon. Have a look at a couple of your houseplants and give them a mini makeover. Clean up the foliage, take away any dirt from the surface of the containers, and brighten them up and give them a bit of love, because they'll give the love back. You'll see them in a different light. I move them around. You know when you've got a picture, you know it's that picture all the time. After 2 or 3 days, you never see it. Move one houseplant from the dining room into the kitchen, and one from the kitchen to the bathroom. Switch them around. They'll be grateful for some of the changes, as long as they're the same sort of conditions, and you'll start to notice them a lot more. Well, I hope you found that interesting. We're talking again next week, are we not? George is nodding, so you can join us here the same time next week. And any questions that you've got, please send them through. I really enjoy our chats. Please enjoy the rest of the day. Cheers.